champ is here!
It's just a man!
Give me a hell yeah!
What the rock is cooking.
To be the man, you have to be the man.
Big Papa Pump! It's your hookup!
Fallen.
Holla! In the air there!
Woo, woo, woo!
Cup of coffee in the big day.
It's Tuesday, and you know what that means. Fabcast Media proudly brings you the latest edition of Working the Marks. And folks, I am New Jersey's premier award-winning journalist and proud NAACP member, Fernando Uribe. And here is an amazing panel of fellow co-hosts here. We got Richard Pictures in the house. He is that dude. Certainly Macho, Rodrigez, the Pitbull, and Tyler Taylor, the talent himself, here joining us on Fabcast Media. Folks, sharing is caring. If you just joined us live, click that share button and let everybody you know on your social media, make them aware about how much you love Working the Marks via Fabcast Media. Gentlemen, what's going on?
Good, man. Good. Let's get into this shit. I'm excited.
Desperado, why won't you come to your senses? You've been out riding fences so long now. Oh, you're a hard one. I'm a hard one. It's great to be back on the fucking show, guys.
Pat,
Normally
Pat,
people have to pay to see me sing like that, okay?
Pat, who sings that song?
Your sister's mustache. No, it's the Eagles.
Oh, keep it that way, please.
Oh,
What?
No, nothing.
What?
Your observation. Your observation.
Got it.
What?
Come on now.
What?
I forgot what I'm-
What? What?
But guys, it's good to
Fernando's
see
just
you.
mad because
Eso
nobody
es un
pays
chiste de
to
viejito,
nobody
coño.
pays to see him sing. So
That's-
Fernando's just
well,
mad about.
Sometimes they do, but not, you know.
No, they pay to drink, and you just happen to be singing.
That's right. That's right. Folks, again, click that share button, all that social media good stuff. Again, show your support for Working the Marks. Folks, let's get right to it here, gentlemen. Some news, obviously, and it seems to be that perhaps TNT or TBS, which would be, rich if this happens, as you know, certain licensing rights for television contracts are coming up to expiration. It seems maybe WWE might be moving Monday Night Raw, and there's a very big possibility, 20-something years after winning the Monday Night Wars, WWE could be on TNT or TBS winning the wrestling war again. What are you guys hearing about how valid this is and whether or not this deal gets done?
I mean, I've definitely heard a lot about it. It's been reported by pretty much like Fightful and Meltzer himself. I know that guy's an idiot, but he still reports some good stuff sometimes. He's talked about it. Tyler and I have had this discussion pretty much about this already, about the possibility of AEW kind of moving backwards over to Access and a channel that not everybody has the ability to watch. And, if WWE gets to take over one of these two, networks, I'm sure that they're going to get more than 800K views on whatever night that they choose to be on, because, they produce good content and they have, a world champion that's over 5'5".
How would you know? You never see him.
Who?
Well,
What world
in
champion? Because
fairness,
there's two of them in
obviously-
WWE.
Guys, in fairness, next March 2024 at the big event in Long Island on the campus of Suffolk County Community College, the home of the Sharks, MGF is the headline meet and greet guy at the big event signing convention. So, I'll get to maybe meet him in person. We'll see. I know I'm 5'9". Pat saw that on Sunday when I took off my sneakers.
That's not true. He had lifts inside of his socks.
I did not. I did not.
You have lifts inside your socks. You're very insecure about your height. All right, and that's fine. That's okay. It's perfectly fucking fine.
That's not true. He saw my socks and shoes.
Well, I have it on good authority that the person that makes MJF's wrestling boots is the son of the man who made Huggy Bear's platform shoes for. So I mean, we got to be very clear. We've seen the lifts in those fucking boots.
I heard a
We've seen
conflicting
those.
story. I actually heard that it was the same guys who makes the platforms for Kiss. Okay.
Ooh,
And since
okay.
Kiss is retiring, Kiss, they're hanging it up. So they had to give that work to somebody else. That's what I'm hearing. But regardless of that fact, MJF is a good performer. You can't take that away from him. You really, really can't. All 5'6" of him, he's a fantastic performer. Okay. And the guy can talk a line of shit and he can get people behind him. He can. And you know what? I give the guy a lot of credit because unlike a lot of guys his age, he works a very old school style. He understands that character sells more than fucking wrestling does. And I think that he's on a good trajectory to possibly do something. Now, I saw that there was some news about him supposedly not signing. That's what he said and all that other stuff. I wouldn't pay too much mind to that because I think he has signed something, and I think he's working the internet up to him a little bit more again, which isn't fucking natural in this instance.
I heard that was bullshit too, so we'll see.
And mind you, again, he's defending the coveted AEW World Heavyweight Championship on December 30th in Long Island at the iconic Nassau Coliseum. It's only supposedly 2 days later, right? His contract expires, right? Isn't that kind of interesting? Are they trying to rehash those storylines? Oh, my contract's coming up, and do I leave with the title? I mean, let's be honest, it would be the first time we've seen that done.
No,
Yeah, I mean, I can't tell who's on your shirt if that's MJF or LA Knight, but they're literally the same performer for two different companies.
Oh my God. But yeah, guys, listen, it would be interesting seeing the TNT logo on the lower right-hand side during, let's say, maybe Monday Night Raw. That's in case, that's certainly the case that they keep it as Monday Night Raw. Wouldn't it just be something to, like, just for a lot of us to relive that nostalgia where we would watch the Monday Night Wars, we'd see the old WWF logo, lower right-hand corner, we'd see TNT or Nitro, and now to see it on TNT or TBS, and to Macho's point about maybe having to go to Access, I mean, as someone who regularly watches, and it has been for 20 years, Impact, now reverting back to TNA Wrestling, if you don't subscribe to either Sling or YouTube TV, or I'm just trying to think of the other streaming service, AT&T, Fubo, you're not going to get access. I mean, I can just tell you from firsthand knowledge that up here in Northeast Jersey, where let's say it's Optimum, Cable, or Comcast, or Verizon Fios, access is not on those sites. They're just not. I know that for a fact. I can't speak for Spectrum. I can't speak for Time Warner, but I know that for the cable systems that are quite prevalent in Northeast Jersey and North Jersey collectively, like, access isn't on there. So, if that's where AEW is going to be relegated to be in the same channel as Impact, TNA Wrestling, they could be in serious trouble.
Well,
I think so.
What does that mean for TNA?
Well, the thing is that TNA, we know that the report is that they're moving over with TKO, right? Is that what it is? Or Endeavor?
I believe they're
just streaming, right?
I believe that they're TNA. It's Impact Plus, but maybe it's renamed TNA Plus now. I believe they're going to be going to a streaming, which would not be the worst thing for them. Again, like, I watch Impact regularly. I don't pay for their pay-per-views. I have to go on those hacker sites, whatever, and deal with the pop-ups, and that's what I've been doing for years for Impact when it's on, let's say, Saturday or Sunday nights, whatever. I don't know if that's the case. I think that's a win-win for them to partner with Endeavor. Again, it's a growing company. You look at them on the stock exchange. I mean, their shares are selling pretty high right now. It'll be interesting. I think it's a win-win for them. But again, and it sort of leads us into our next topic, though, the possibility of AEW losing Warner Brother Discovery as their home base, I think, is a concern. And I'll sort of start with Tyler here. I know you're the biggest AEW fan here, but I got to tell you that, listen, we're not privy to those conversations. We're not privy to the negotiations that Khan has been having with Time Warner, maybe with HBO Max. I think we're at a point now, though. I think maybe I really want to get your thoughts on this, that the idea of having monthly pay-per-views, what it seems like it looks like right now, lately, and asking the fan base to pay $50 a month, I think is not reasonable. So I think if you could have gotten a deal done with HBO Max, I would have said that that's imperative, but I think they're also being intellectually honest and saying, well, the engagement isn't high, the traffic isn't high. Is it worth it to us to do that with AEW? And listen, if it was, I would speculate that HBO Max would have done something with them already.
Yeah. So I was listening to 83 Weeks last night while I was on my drive home, and they were saying that one of the things that they originally sold with Time Warner Brothers for Dynamite was that they were going to have Jim Ross. Well, he's had some health issues, but he's apparently ready to travel again, and his contract is apparently up here in the next right around the first of the year. So they speculated that him being re-signed would be a big deal towards potentially keeping their deal there, because that was a big thing for Time Warner Brothers, whatever, Warner Brothers Discovery, when they initially made their first deal. Same as CM Punk was for Collision.
Listen, that those are certainly negotiating points, and I think that at the bargaining table, it's what is going to drive the negotiation. But Tyler, I think, listen, and I'm not trying to pick a fight with you here. I know that I was told beforehand you're the big AEW defender on the show, so I really want to kind of like pick your brain about this. I mean, can we get to? I mean, we'll talk a little bit more because it'll sort of lead into the next topic here. But are we ready as fans to maybe make that proclamation that AEW, as we're approaching, let's be honest, 5 years later in just 8 months, is not, I think, what we expected it to be. Certainly, it was a great new shiny toy in 2019. And now, I mean, it is, I mean, I'm looking at numbers here. And listen, I'm a pro wrestling fan, Tyler. I watch a lot of, I watch NWA, I watch TNA, I watch New Japan on Access TV when I can.
He watches whatever crap's on there besides fucking AAA. He doesn't like the Mexican wrestling.
But, well, that's not true, but okay. I don't know where to find it. But the point is that, like, I watch AEW because there's a lot of stars that I like on there, some ex-WWE guys and girls, sure. But Tyler, are we ready to at least maybe come to the middle and say that AEW, it's sort of a self-inflicted wound here. It's been bad booking, bad attendance, the merch sales aren't good, the TV ratings are dwindling. We can't blame Warner Brothers Discovery for being hesitant here with them. No. And like, are they really an attractive brand of content for anybody?
See, I don't think they're what they expected. I'm speaking of Warner Brothers. It's exactly pretty much what I expected. It's just a different wrestling company. It's a different feel of a show. If you want something different than WWE, it's an alternative. It's not competition. And I don't know why anyone ever thought it would be. They haven't had competition in 20 years.
But they see themselves as competition.
Well, sure.
Yeah.
Why would? What are you going to say?
I'd like to add to that. No. I'm just saying, Tyler, because you might not think that now, but Anthony Rafiq Khan did at one point. Okay,
sure.
And he said that they were a what was it? A challenger brand, challenger brand.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a lot of the shit that he's getting online, he's getting it because he called for it. I mean, not too long ago, he called Triple H and Shawn Michaels bald assholes.
Yep.
So, I mean, like, he's over there, he's crying about, oh, everybody's picking on us. Oh my God, they're saying such mean things about us. But you started that shit. Oh, look who showed up, fucking in the dungeon with Stu Hart over here. What is this? Because they boosted their competition. Yeah. All right, yeah. Anyways, that's what I'm saying, you fucking nincompoop. You're not even watching the show.
Yeah.
But you know, Tony Khan kind of called for this, in fairness.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah, he did all this shit. He's the one who called for all of this. He's the one that said that they were competition, that they were coming for them. Even his stupid little video that he posted this week, where he said that WWE is monopolizing everything. There's only one guy going out there signing every single talent that WWE lets go. There is a fucking countdown for Mustafa Ali. Why? Why is there a countdown for Mustafa Ali signing over in that company? That guy was a jobber in WWE. You're going to make him a big star? No.
Well, Tyler, what's interesting, I think, is, and this is, again, sort of going back to even during the pandemic when we were watching different shows, I really thought during the pandemic, especially when, Tony Khan and Tony Schiavone were on Impact weekly. And I remember saying, wow, the whole Forbidden Door concept. I thought, first of all, it was interesting because as wrestling fans here in North America, we weren't really used to that for quite some time, right? Like the last time we ever really saw that was maybe, the old NWA, UWF, then obviously working with other promotions. And, every single week, even before Omega went to Impact and won, and he was becoming the belt collector and that whole game. The point was, I think when you were watching, I said, oh, maybe Khan's onto something. Hey, going to Impact and working with that company, giving it some money. I'm assuming they exchanged some currency of some kind, right, to work together. And I'm thinking to myself, oh man, maybe he's onto something. Maybe this. And then, once the pandemic was over and people started filling arenas again, thankfully, like we said, oh, maybe this is going to be a nice segue where AEW works with, Impact, that they work with AAA, that they bring these people on. And but what would happen? Like whenever Omega was on Impact, he beat everybody. And whenever Impact people were on AEW, they basically were jobbed out. So I'm like, wait a second. Even the whole concept of Forbidden Door, the pay-per-view, like, can New Japan people ever win a match other than one guy, the world champion? It seems like there's never like a push or like at least okay, there's 6 matches, 3-3 or something. I think there was a tremendous lost opportunity during the pandemic, especially when you're collaborating with other companies. I don't know why Khan got away from that.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened with the collaboration with Impact. I know at the time Don Callis was booking there, and then he just magically now he's on AEW. I guess he's got a talent contract.
Yeah, no, it's again. I think it's. Listen, I don't want to take the temperature here, or sort of try to claim that the. I what the device is called. I'm drawing a blank here. When someone goes into cardiac arrest, it'll come to me. Not the defibrillator, but it'll come to me. But it seems entirely like AEW is kind of just shooting themselves in the foot regularly. And if it costs them a TV deal, I don't know what Khan's going to do, because I don't think this money is everlasting. I mean, I get it. He's burning through his inheritance like Hunter Biden through crack. But I mean, my God, it just seems like, at what point do they maybe have a moment of
like
pause?
Donald Trump Jr. through tissues, because that's all the sex he's having, unless he pays for it.
His wife's pretty hot, Kim Guilfoyle.
So doesn't mean they fuck. There's plenty of married people that don't fuck. But anyways, that's for another show.
Yeah. Tyler, I don't know what's going to happen. This idea that maybe there's an everlasting flow of money. I don't know what's going to happen.
I don't know. So far, it seems to have not dried up yet, but we'll see.
I mean, the way I look at it as is to touch on your New Japan thing. I can't really talk to what they did with TNA, but your New Japan thing, I mean, they didn't have the relationship WCW had with New Japan, because Eric always returned the favor. When he sent guys to Japan, they would take the losses over there, so that way the wrestlers over there in Japan can look strong. So it was like, yeah, you come over here to the States, my guy's going to beat your guy. But if you need my guy to lose over there, then, do whatever you need to do. You're sending me talent. And that's what they did. Tony never did that. He said, hey, send your guys. Send possibly the biggest star you have ever in Okada over here. We're just going to have him lose every single time he works.
Yeah. It's mind-boggling.
How is that even possible? Like, I don't know. This guy, I mean, I just find it very odd that he is going to get his whole company removed from TNT and TBS the way Trump was removed from Colorado. And it's all his fault, just like it was Trump's fault. I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
Oh, man.
Someone hasn't read the 14th Amendment, but okay.
What about the 14th Amendment?
What's that?
There's a lot to talk about with that 14th Amendment, huh?
That's the premise.
A lot to talk about there,
It's going to appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court, and we all know how that's going to go. So,
but again, that's for that bought and paid for show in the background. That's for something else.
That's for that. Yeah, I'll get a star on that one if you want. I got some Obama. I got an Obama shirt I can wear on there for you.
Oh, Jesus. Pennsylvanians, I swear to God.
I could just get stoned and drunk like George W. Bush would. That's fine. I could do that.
Yeah.
But again, for a completely different show, getting back to
mispronounce some
AEW,
words.
like, and make up words like jennifersness and gefurbitude. But those sound like words though. That's like George W. Bush shit. Like, this country must utilize great jennifersness and gefurbitude. But getting back to AEW, I mean, look, Tony Khan has done good, and maybe let's look at this as like a humbling moment to Tony Khan. Maybe Tony Khan needs to go and run on Access and run smaller buildings so that he can actually learn how to fucking book, because he's a good matchmaker. He is. And Uribe's pointed that out before in the past. He's a good matchmaker, but as a booker, is actually following through with storylines and doing stuff. He's had some hits and he's had a lot of fucking misses. And maybe being humbled, maybe going back down a little bit, maybe getting a little bit of guidance, like fucking what's his name? The World is a Vampire. He could do that, and he could probably come back a little bit better and eventually get another deal again. But if you're Warner Brothers, right? If you're David Zaslav, who's referred to Philip Jack Brooks as One Bill Phil, if you're him, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna take WWE Raw with CM Punk, who's back in the WWE, who's drawing a lot of good fucking viewership, who's worked everybody into thinking that him and Seth Rollins fucking hate each other? Or are you going to take AEW, who doesn't produce those numbers, but they have a lot of potential? Because they do have a lot of potential. They have a lot of good young talent there, and they have a lot of veteran talent, but that's only going to fucking get you so far. And they can snatch more of the demo and more of the higher ratings. I know it's been a while since we've heard about the demo. They can snatch more of that going with WWE Raw than they could with any AEW programming. Maybe this is what Tony Khan needs. And I don't want to see AEW fucking fail. I don't. I want to see them succeed, because they're employing talent. They're an alternative fucking brand. They're bringing something different to the fucking table. But maybe Tony needs to be fucking humbled in order for him to understand that, hey, I don't know everything just because I watched it.
Well,
and I could use a little guidance.
Yeah, me and Uribe were talking about this before you guys came on. Saturday's show was phenomenal, and you can tell he had little to no input on the show. There were 4 women's segments, and the matches themselves were really good. There was no botching. There was no like random like crazy off the top rope move. There was no like stupid booking decisions. It was like, okay, let's give us some more stories. And you could tell it has whoever else. I'm not going to give it to Brian because Tyler will roll his eyes. I'm not going to give Brian the credit, although it probably was Brian fucking Danielson that booked it. It's funny that the 2 best bookers in the business are Shawn Michaels and the guy he fucking trained. And it's just like, when you watch it, you're just like, there's no way he had anything to do with the show. But then you watch Dynamite, and as Uribe said, it's a laugh factory. You're watching it, and it's it's a comedy show. And it's like not even a good comedy show. It's like Carlos Mencia. It's like, what is this shit?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And to sort of add to that, I think that, when you watch Dynamite and you watch Rampage and then you watch Collision, it's really like night and day between those 3 programs. And it just seems like I would almost, it's hard to say. It's like, should there be 3 hours of Dynamite and just eliminate Rampage? I would say that, okay, maybe that's a good alternative, because I'll be honest with you, like Friday nights at 10, I'm usually out and about. I'm out at a lounge somewhere. I'm at a club somewhere. Like
He's kind of a big deal.
I make it a point. Thank you, Patrick. I make it a point to follow up on Twitter and see what happened, because again, to Patrick's point, I don't want to see AEW fold. I like the fact that it keeps people employed, people that maybe normally, let's say again, and not to demonize Vince McMahon, because that's not what I do on this program. I'll do it offline, but I don't do it on this program. But again, for whoever, again, in the prior administration, Vince McMahon, and now currently Nick Khan, Paul Levesque, and whoever they don't want to employ, this is where AEW maybe is a different destination. Now, is Khan signing people to contracts that seem overwhelmingly? I mean, the premise that certain guys and girls are getting anywhere between $2 million and up, I mean, God bless them. Make your money. You put your body on the line every week. I mean, but I think at some point, Khan's going to have to look at his budget and look at what, again, if TNT and TBS look and say, hey, listen, it's good programming for us. I mean, obviously we have the NBA, we have the NHL. We have a lot of sitcoms that do well on those networks. Do we really need Dynamite? I mean, again, we'll see as the expiration date is approaching. But would it shock me if they drop them? No. But it wouldn't shock me either if they renewed them, maybe at a lower price. Because if you're not giving me ratings, and I gave you, I mean, Pat's good at this stuff. I think it was somewhere between $30 million over the 3 years, maybe, wherever it was for the 3 or 4 years.
$40 million they were given.
Well, if you're Warner Bros. Discovery and be like, well, you haven't really cracked $1 million in many, 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 many months, but it's still bringing an above average rating. Okay, you know what? We'll renew you at 25. And this is where Khan has to kind of take a step back to Patrick's point about be a little humble and say, okay, maybe I'm not going to get that fuck you money that I was getting before. And now I might have to kind of work within not a budget per se, but work within a more restrained financial environment. That wouldn't be the worst thing for Tony Khan, guys.
Yeah, I agree. I do think he needs to be humbled. I think he has the ability to be like the 2023 Detroit Lions, like to come out of nowhere and be like a top contender. But right now, he's not. He's the Chicago Bears. He needs to be like, hey, man, we suck. We can't compete with teams like the Eagles, the Cowboys. We can't compete with teams like that. That's how he needs to treat his brand. Like, hey, we're the XFL. We're whatever. Like, let's slowly but surely build this up. Let's utilize the talent we have in New Japan. Let's utilize the talent we have in TNA. Let's build these guys up instead of bringing in these old heads from WWE that, aren't helping boost ratings. Like, is there seriously one of us on here that's going to say that Adam Copeland's that this has been a success? Would you not say that he would bring ratings? That he would that's what I'm saying. You thought he was going to bring ratings. His show debuts tonight at 3 a.m. There has been fucking no mention about this show. Adam Copeland, the guy who you just paid a shit ton of money to come in and to be featured more than your world heavyweight champions, Disney Plus show debuts at 3 a.m. tomorrow morning. No mention of Percy Jackson. No mention of him on the show. And we talked about it last week. We had the Iron Claw. Von Erich was on AEW programming. Not a single person was there to support MJF. This dude does not run a business the way he should run a business. It's insanity.
And you know what, Mach? I'll even double down on that one. I think it's also an indictment of who maybe he has within a corporate structure that does social media or does TV production or marketing. Because again, I'm not a marketing major. I'm not a business major or professor, even though I play one. These are the basic ABCs of marketing and the way that you market a product and business. Mm-hmm. If there were a lot of WWE stars in Iron Claw, right? You would see every promo possible on their social media, on their YouTube. You'd see it on promos on Raw, NXT, on SmackDown. It's just I don't know why he just thinks. See, this is the thing. I think Pat and I were talking about this off the air once. When CM Punk in that promo on SmackDown made that reference about, you just can't go around punching people in the face, right? I know Pat educated me on what that meant and why that was significant. But I think there was a part of the internet that was well, a lot of people don't know what that meant because a lot of people maybe don't watch AEW enough to know why that little jab was funny. I know it was,
I didn't even think of that.
It was designed. Yeah. I know Pat mentioned it was designed that way to some extent. They want to see what the reaction was in the building. But to be fair, I think one of Tony Khan's misgivings is believing that just because you're on TNT, I guess it's a national channel. Again, it broadcasts the NBA, the NHL. It broadcasts Major League Baseball during the playoffs. Okay,
all year.
All year. And just because you're on TBS and TNT doesn't mean that everybody is going to know you. Case in point, when AEW came to Grand Slam at the Arthur Ashe Center, again, unless you're someone like me that watches local news like CBS2, NBC4, or Fox 5, you wouldn't know that
I'm shocked you watch Fox 5.
Well, it's a local Fox affiliate.
Well, fucking Rosanna Scotto, bro.
That's right, baby. Ernie Anastas, baby. But no, like, if you didn't watch those regularly, you wouldn't know that MJF literally that whole week was on every day promoting Grand Slam. Like, who do you think that WWE wouldn't, if again, going into that shithole Philadelphia coming up in April, you don't think that WWE they already are promoting Philadelphia, promoting the NXT.
Oh my God, yeah.
Promoting the shows that dump the Wells Fargo Center, the home of the Flyers and the trash Sixers. They're doing that because they know that
Flyers.
They know that marketing matters. And I just I don't know why there aren't better business people around Khan, because his father's successful. Listen, the Jaguars, say what you want, they know how to market that brand. The football club in England, they know how to market that. I don't understand why they can't do that.
They're called Fulham. It's Fulham Football Club, the football club in England. There's like fucking 100 of them. Like, what are you talking about? Come on, do your research, Fernando. You know,
I don't know. I mean,
what kind of journalist are you?
I think a lot of it has to do. I think a lot of it has to do with our next topic. I think
yes, and obviously, this is to Pat's point about what Tony Khan needs to do. Here's something Tony Khan does not need to do, and that is engaging someone who's respected in the wrestling community, like fellow conservative Disco Inferno, in a Twitter war, where that's the last thing Tony Khan needs.
Why you got to be a cornball, bro? Come on, man. Why you got to bring that shit up? Save that shit for your fucking other show, bro.
He's a good guy. I'm just making
all right. So just because he's a conservative, whatever, he could pee in his own mouth. That doesn't make him a good guy. But whatever, bro.
I'm just making observations.
Let me read the tweets because
it's gotta be like that.
It went from 0 to 100 real fast. So Tony Khan tweeted 2 days ago. He said, "AEW fans, how are we feeling?" Disco says, "Like the shows, need a reset." And Tony Khan's immediate response to a harmless tweet: "The belief that you're an irrelevant parasite unites the pro wrestling community." That is how he responded to someone telling him that he loved the shows, but they need a reset. I mean, is Brian going to find this dude? Because that was kind of stupid. That was the tweet. I'm reading it right here.
He said he loved the shows, but they need a reset.
Like the shows need a reset. Like the shows need a reset. That's
no.
All
he said he's feeling like the shows need a reset.
No,
he's
that's
not saying
I'm
he likes
reading it right here, Tyler. I'm reading it. So you're giving me words that are not in Glenn Gilberti's tweet.
This is where punctuation is important, guys.
Was there a comma in between?
No.
So commas are important.
We're just like this
fucking are.
The fuck? Would you like me to
say he feels like the shows need a reset?
This is what Tyler does on our show too. He
like the shows, comma, needs a reset. Period.
He did not say that.
That would mean he likes the shows, but they need a reset. What he's saying here is he feels like the shows need a reset.
Right.
No. I mean, it doesn't matter. Do you think that it warrants what Tony Khan said?
No, not at all.
Exactly.
Why? Why would you? Why?
Because this is what
Tyler, the bigger question is, I think, the bigger question, I think, obviously is, why are we seeing a pattern with Anthony for some time where he feels the need to engage? And I get it. Listen, you put a tweet out, sometimes, you don't know what to expect in the response, especially with the following that he has. Having said that, I think it's a concern. I think from a PR perspective, again, a marketing perspective, it doesn't make the CEO of a company look very good. Case in point, for all the grief that marks over the decades have given Vince McMahon, Vince, I'm sure, read thousands of retweets and replies to things he put out. And Vince, to the best of my knowledge, never replied to any of them. Paul Levesque doesn't do the same. Paul Levesque kind of follows that same mantra. Dana White within again that spectrum of Endeavor, TKO, right? All those CEOs. The point is that I just find it weird where again he and his father own an NFL franchise that, other than the last few years, have been kind of in obscurity. Attendance hasn't been great. They haven't been great franchises, and they don't really get triggered about criticism of the Jacksonville Jaguars or the Fulham football team. And I just think that Khan is just
Fulham Football Club, man.
Football
Stop saying
Club.
Fulham Football
I've seen him go
Team,
off on a couple
bro.
people about Fulham as well.
Motherfucker, bro.
Excuse
come
me,
on,
sorry,
man.
Patrick.
And don't be hating on Mark Brunell, bro. All right.
No, he was great. I loved him
David
in Madden.
Garrard?
David Garrard.
David Garrard, you know what I'm saying,
I
bro?
love
Get
him in
out of
Madden.
here.
I just think it's a bad look for a CEO to engage. Now, again, there are plenty of CEOs that engage on Twitter, right? We see Elon Musk and how he responds to people, and other CEOs as well. But I think that nothing triggers the wrestling community more online than someone like Khan being that defensive. Like, okay, you can say you disagree with Glenn Gerberti, but to say a parasite, like that's, again, be it far from me as someone who likes to be openly critical of people online, but that's a bit much for something that looked really innocent from Glenn.
Well, in this case, he's innocent, but find the lie.
There's a lot of it. He's working people. That's all Disco's doing.
Yeah.
His entire show is based on working people, and not every dude.
And Glenn's been complimentary. And Glenn's been complimentary when he's felt the need to be complimentary of AEW. It's not like him and Conan and the rest of the guys in that show are bashing AEW constantly. That's not the case. It's the best of my life.
No, he's just I don't need Disco Inferno's opinion. It's just,
then don't listen to it.
I know.
But he's a worker who's been in the business for like 40 fucking years, and he was pretty successful. He was television champion, which means you were on TV weekly. He was a part of
He's
Conan's
so much of
group
a mark. He's so much of a mark that he got fired because he wouldn't do a job for Jacqueline.
Okay. Everybody makes mistakes. Stone Cold Steve Austin walked out because he didn't want a job to Brock Lesnar. CM Punk walked out because he didn't get a main event at WrestleMania.
But Tyler, is your dislike for Disco Inferno predicated on that maybe? Well, I'm assuming based on your response that you don't look at him as successful as other people. So when Eric Bischoff, who we know came within an eyelash of putting Vince McMahon out of business, legitimately, it's not like, oh, this is hearsay, this is work. No, like Vince was legitimately concerned financially about maybe having to hold his company. Is when someone like Bischoff, who's had success in the pro wrestling business, when he's critical, do you take him more seriously because of his status and his accomplishments, or is it because again, let's be honest about to Macho's point about Glenn Gerberti, he was wrestling during a time where it was the most vibrant time in pro wrestling history, the Monday Night Wars, or you just don't like his, or when someone like Bischoff criticizes him, is that taken more seriously?
To an extent. The only thing I will say is I know Eric has some hurt feelings about a couple things that Tony said, and I think that has led to a few of the things that Eric has had to say. I don't know that he looks at it completely unbiasedly.
Well, he's doing a podcast like we are. I mean, we're gonna have opinions, right?
Sure, but and he's admitted as much that it really hurt him, and he really colored his opinion when Tony said he was trying not to make the same mistakes that WCW did.
No, he's making worse mistakes.
Well, then fair point, but you and I both know that Eric has said that really.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, he said that. But every time Eric Bischoff says something about AEW, like he said earlier, how he's pleading with them to please stop their talent from talking about WWE in promos. Like,
right, and that makes sense.
You would think that they would stop doing that. I mean, look at what CM Punk's doing right now. He made one reference to his backstage fight with Jack Perry. One reference for hardcore fans, for hardcore marks. And that's it. He hasn't even given a light. He hasn't even mentioned anything. And that rumor's been disproved. There is no NDA. So that rumor's been disproved. So he just, like,
who
WWE
disproved it?
Meltzer.
So when Meltzer says something you like, he's correct, but when he says something you don't like, he's an idiot.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, cool.
Well, Tyler, to be fair, and listen, I don't really care for David Meltzer. He blocked me this year, so did Jim Cornette, and a few other people.
You like Jim Cornette too.
I was kind of annoyed, but Jim Cornette's a far left.
It's because you're an asshole.
No, because he's a far left loon. That's
I'm sorry, I was just stretching. My bad.
Oh yeah. No, he's a left wing lunatic. But the thing about what's interesting, about Meltzer and how
asshole.
But Tyler, what's interesting is that I think that we have to get back sort of to the premise that it's a bad look for Khan. And when I see marks online or fans defending again, one thing is you read the tweet as is, right? Yeah. Whether or not it needs a comma, sometimes sentences need commas. That's how we differentiate things. That there's been arguments about what commas mean, right? And all types of things. But the point is that I just find it weird that why is nobody coming down on Khan? Well, people are, but
I like that button.
Why are people coming down on Khan that as a CEO of a company that this is acceptable? Let's try to meet in the middle, Tyler. Would you say that?
I get what you're saying, but we did have a president for 4 years who pretty much did that and much worse.
Oh, you're gonna get Patrick started. He's gonna snap out. He doesn't want politics on here.
Listen, the last time I put my meat in the middle, I ended up with 2 kids. So I'm not even gonna get into this right now. All right.
Okay. Well, that's fair. Again, you're entitled to your opinion about that, but we're talking about an industry that
he should shut the fuck up. Yes.
What's that?
He should shut the fuck up. Yes.
No. Again, Khan can say whatever he wants. He has a Twitter. He can use it however he wants.
But he shouldn't.
Well,
it's not good business.
No, that's fine. But what I'm concerned about is not necessarily yourself, but I think there are many in the wrestling community where whether it's Disco Inferno, whether it's Conrad Thompson, whether it's Jeff Jarrett, whether it's Bischoff, whether it's Conan and Conan, whether it's Wade Keller, Kevin Nash, I think that regardless of what level of success you've achieved in the business, Kevin Nash is up here clearly, right? And again, maybe probably Disco is clearly, he made less money than Kevin Nash did, drew bigger gates, whatever, Bischoff, whatever. Like, there's still people that were in the business. So I think if they want to opine, they should be able to without the vitriol that follows. That's all I'm saying. Whether it's Disco Inferno down here or Bischoff or Nash or whoever, even Ric Flair, like, I'm concerned that, hey, if you were in the business, I think you've earned the right to opine because you put your body on the line. When people on the internet get critical and defensive, I think that's a bad look. I just want to get your thoughts on
that. Yeah, it is a bad look. Like, he needs to control himself. He needs to behave like a leader should behave, but clearly he doesn't feel the need to. And don't think anyone's going to tell him otherwise.
Again,
it appears that way anyways.
Yeah. Whether or not that affects the standing of AEW, whether or not Warner Brothers Discovery looks at behavior like this and saying, do we want to do business with something like that?
Exactly.
That remains to be seen. Moving on to some WWE stuff.
Fernando, can I say something? I have my hand up.
Sure.
You're a professor.
Sure, yes.
You recognize that I have my hand up, all right?
Sure, yes.
First of all, I'd like to say that Anthony Khan has created these situations for himself. And I think that fucking with Disco Inferno and paying attention to any marks or any former workers or anybody on the internet should be something that a guy like Tony Khan should not be doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, Vince McMahon don't do that shit. None of these other guys do this shit. Don't pay attention to this shit. He's reviewing your stuff. He's talking about it. Listen to it. Maybe take it into consideration and learn from it. I was told a very, very long time ago when I was in wrestling, and if you blinked, you missed me. But when I was in wrestling, I was told that you could learn something from everybody. Even
Yeah.
somebody who's great or somebody who's the absolute shits. You can learn how not to be the shits from somebody who sucks, and you can learn how to be great from somebody who's great.
Mhm.
So even if you think that Disco Inferno sucks, which newsflash, he fucking doesn't, okay?
Mhm.
Because he was a good character guy that was on during the hottest period in fucking wrestling history. All right. And
Mhm.
he did get numbers, man. Whether people like it or not, he fucking got numbers. But
Mhm.
this is a guy that you could listen to, and he was also a part of a booking committee on TNA, and you can learn something from. And I think Tony Khan should be listening to those criticisms and should be learning from them instead of getting upset about them. That's all I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? I know some people view Conan and Disco and Jim Cornette as trolls and all that other stuff. Yo, listen to them, man. These guys, they've been around the business for a long time, especially Jim Cornette. Jim Cornette's a smart motherfucker. You could say he's a racist. You could say he's an asshole, a misogynist, or this or that, whatever. No problem. But when it comes to wrestling, which is what we're talking about, he knows a lot. And I think
Yeah.
Tony Khan could learn from him. That's all I'm saying.
Am I the only person that doesn't actually think that Conan and Disco are trolling people? Like they do the whole
I don't think so.
suspending thing, and that's like that we get it. Like obviously Tyler,
Kazoo.
that's a good joke for us too because of Kenny. But it's one of those things where it's like they actually give really good constructive criticism to wrestlers, and they always put over guys.
Yeah.
Like every time somebody gets like marked as like, oh, this guy's being underutilized, or oh, this guy's not good, or that not that. Like the way they still defend Karrion Kross, right? Like, they defend the worker. I don't understand why Tony Khan would get so flustered. And you're right. Why not listen to these guys that did it? Like, I just don't understand it. The only thing I can think,
Don't listen to Vince Russo, but other people, yeah.
Bro.
yeah,
Bro.
You know.
you
Okay,
understand about
can I do
WWE
my
news?
disco and should I do my disco and Conan
Please,
impersonation?
I haven't heard that impression in a while.
Yo, so Di, yo, I know what you've been saying, and you've been talking about this, and it's been a really great idea that we could do.
I know it sounds a little bit more like conversation, but I mean, Disco Inferno, he kind of sounds like Kermit the Frog, and I mean, some people might think that he's trying to say something, but I mean,
You gotta stutter
he's
more.
actually not. He's actually not saying. He's actually not saying something. But he's got a little bit of the Kermit the Frog voice.
Yes.
The disco, yo, Di, what's going on? Yo, everybody, yo, toss my salad and peel my potato now. But I've been smoking, so that's why I don't really sound that good. But catch me on another day. Catch
All
me
right,
outside. How about that?
Guys, moving on to some WWE news. Tragically, last week it was confirmed that Charlotte Flair tore her anterior cruciate ligament along with her meniscus and her medial collateral ligament and will be out for quite some time, which means she'll miss the Royal Rumble. She will definitely miss WrestleMania 40 in the shithole of North America, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Again, it's wishful thinking that it's already January 1st and a couple really next week, and to think that you could recover from an ACL tear in less than 3 months, that's not reasonable. That's not realistic. Having
She's
said
not
that,
Aaron Rodgers.
well, yeah, I mean Achilles, yeah, right. Who
He
knows? But
backtracked all that shit today.
what's that? Yeah, I know, certainly. It's obviously she's not going to be part of really, Rumble season, WrestleMania season. It's tragic. She's still a very prominent figure in the women's division. And now I think it kind of starts to, beg the question that with her absence, which is confirmed, who's going to maybe step up in that role coming up into the Royal Rumble, into WrestleMania season? Is Jake Cargill ready? Perhaps Tiffany Stratton, one of my favorites in NXT.
Absolutely.
Could WWE be talking to Mercedes Moné and trying to bring her back? It's not for a lack of money, I think, right? Obviously, when it comes to Mercedes. Listen, Charlotte's a big void, a big loss. Who knows? She could have maybe broken her dad's record in the next couple of months again. Who knows? But her absence, I think, is devastating for the women's division.
Yeah.
The good thing is there's a plethora of talent in all three brands in the women's division. So it's, again, I think Paul Levesque as the CCO has some things that he can maneuver around. I think it's not like totally catastrophic per se, but losing Charlotte to these devastating injuries, and there's no guarantee that she'll be back even within a calendar year. Again, an ACL, a meniscus, and an MCL tear, that's serious for someone in their mid-30s, for someone who has as much mileage as Charlotte Flair has.
Yeah, I mean, Personally, this is wrong. Thanks for tuning in, Rat Talk podcast. But no, she signed the contract after her injury. They just wanted to make sure that she was in there. But yeah, it really sucks. 9 months without Charlotte Flair sucks. I can't imagine WrestleMania without her. She is 1A or 1B to Becky Lynch in terms of the greatest of all time. Like, those two women will be forever. Like, the way we thought about Trish and Lita, they completely blew that shit out of the water. And now we're seeing a woman that has the potential to steal WrestleMania. Like, she could have went out there and worked Bianca Belair and stole the whole thing. She could have went out there, and this is what I thought was going to happen that I wanted to talk about this week, but obviously it's not going to happen, is I thought they were going to pull a Seth and Cody. I thought she was going to be in the middle of the ring at WrestleMania, and we were going to hear Sasha's music hit. That's what I thought we were going to get at WrestleMania this year. Sasha versus Charlotte at Mania. And I do feel like Sasha is the right person. I mean, yeah, you have Bianca, like Bianca versus Tiffany Stratton. That could be a banger of a match. Absolute.
Nah, I don't think so, man. I don't think Tiffany Stratton's there yet. And Bianca needs that Charlotte Flair rub. I think Sasha Banks is better suited for that turn on Bayley from Damage Control and coming out to back up fucking Bayley. Apparently, we're hearing that the talks cooled down with her in AEW with Mercedes Moné in AEW. So we could be seeing the return of the boss. Mm-hmm. But, you know, I mean, I think that would be better for her. I mean, look, Tiffany Stratton is good. Don't get me wrong. I don't think she's there yet. I don't.
She's improved infinitely. And I've been a staunch Tiffany Stratton fan right from the get-go. I think getting implants helps a little bit, right? Because I think that you're looking for a certain look.
Oh, my God.
Well,
why? Because she could bump better or something? Like, I don't understand.
I don't know, maybe. Listen, God bless Ludwig Kaiser. He's doing something right, honestly. He's doing something right, wifing that up there, putting the ring on it. But I think she's improved infinitely. I think
you're weird.
At that point, she's not there yet. Who knows with Jade? Who knows with Jade? I mean, obviously we haven't seen her on TV. Obviously, we know she's at the Performance Center. There's nothing leaking about her progress. But that's a star that they signed because I think they see a window with her. Again, she's 30, I think. She checks off a lot of boxes when it comes to her athleticism, her look. Oh God, what? Well, listen, we appreciate Mr. Scott listening in, and again, we hope you continue listening. But bro, she's a good athlete. It's not like Charlotte Flair is, 4 moves of doom here. Charlotte Flair is a good worker. She's been a consistent worker.
So was John Cena. That's not an insult. John Cena is the greatest of all time, arguably.
Doesn't mean that you steal a WrestleMania that had the opening match as The Miz, Finn Balor, and Seth Rollins, and she stole that Mania. Being handed everything doesn't mean that you steal a WrestleMania that had Gunther versus Sheamus versus Drew. Like, I'm sorry, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Tyler's percolating over there. I see Tyler percolating.
Tyler's a misogynist, and he doesn't.
No, because you just think that she's the greatest thing that's ever lived. And you said on your video that she had 4 WrestleManias that she's stolen. She has 2. WrestleMania 32 with the triple threat with her and Becky and Sasha, and this year. She did not steal WrestleMania 34.
When you mean steal, like steal the show?
Steal the show.
Because you'll alternate between that.
Name a better match than her versus
Well, hold on a second. So the match against Asuka in New Orleans in 2018 wasn't good?
It was good, and it wasn't the best match on the whole show.
I would argue, again, this is just in my humble opinion, I would argue it's probably one of the better matches of the night. Was it better than
AJ Nakamura was better, bro?
No.
Exactly.
No. What I'm saying is that it was a really
Bryan Danielson's return was better. Emotionally, the crowd was more invested in that. I'm sorry, man.
But again, beating Asuka in that streak, I think it was significant from a storyline and the character development.
I'm not saying it was nothing. I'm saying it didn't steal the show.
Yeah,
you can always tell
I do agree with that.
Likes or dislikes. Thank you, Rat Talk. Yes.
Well, you're a rat with 2 T's, so whatever.
I like
Actually,
it. That's fine.
that wasn't a
Titus
bad
had 2
brand.
seasons. WWE.
And I
It's
gave
okay.
her two show-stealing WrestleMania performances. What more do you want?
Because
Yeah.
why don't you just be honest with the people that are watching that you won't give her that one WrestleMania because Finn Balor was in the opening match?
But
I didn't even mention him.
Tyler,
Yeah.
the first Hell in a Cell match for women in 2016 in October of that year. I mean, that was a really good match with Sasha. I mean,
she's great.
Yeah.
I didn't say she sucked.
No, I know. You didn't say that.
Her match was not better than Nakamura and fucking AJ. I'm sorry, man.
Okay.
That finish is not that great, Pat.
That finish
That match is
alone,
nowhere near.
that finish alone was fantastic. The finish alone was better than the entire match that fucking Charlotte had. I'm sorry, man.
No,
That's the
I
truth.
disagree. Their match wasn't even anywhere near their New Japan match.
Brian Danielson returning was more important to the fucking crowd than that match.
Well, that was emotional.
I can be objective of this. Brian is my favorite worker as well as
that was emotional because it was 4 years after that iconic moment in that building after winning the title. So I agree with Pat that there was an emotionally charged moment there.
But that's a part of the work. It's not just about the fucking moves. It's about getting people invested and getting people involved. And Brian Danielson had fucking people involved.
Rack over there. Did you see that rack? Oh my god!
I did. It was perfect.
By the way,
what did he say? Finn, I can't hold on a world title Balor. I feel like this is D.
Well, first of all,
this is D. It should be written in crayon.
First of all, unpopular opinion coming. I got to see Rat live in person. They were actually a good band for someone that grew up listening to.
You like cock rock? That's true. Yeah, he's a cock rock guy. So that's true. It makes sense.
But losing Charlotte, I think obviously again, big
it's
void
gonna hurt.
The rest of the season.
Massive void. It can't be
now, there's something Pat said before. I'm just not a fan. If the premise is true, yes, that they'll kick out Bayley. Turning Bayley babyface against EO. No,
Bayley wins a Rumble.
Listen, could she still lose to EO at Mania? I wouldn't mind that booking.
No,
but
Bayley has to go over. Bayley deserves it. Bayley's been putting in a lot of good fucking work, and she deserves it. And EO has been fantastic, but EO had a moment already.
Bayley is a babyface with this persona.
Dude, you can turn her like that. It doesn't matter. Her and Sasha Banks get back together. They take on Damage Control. That's it. It's good. And then you put Becky over in fucking Elimination Chamber and Cody. That's it. Bayley and Punk winning the Royal Rumble is perfect. Perfect. Mm-hmm. And it sets up your WrestleMania right there.
Love it. Love it. Absolutely love it.
Fair enough. Again, not a surprise that talks died down. I think, listen, Mercedes has to be smart here. I mean, that women's division, once again, AEW, I'm not sure who oversees it, whether it's still Olivier, Kenny Olivier. I'm not sure if he still does, but I would argue that she's probably looking at the way that they're being portrayed, the way the matches are being set up. I mean, listen, Macho mentioned last Saturday on Collision, it was a good show, but again, it was sort of that really innocuous moment of like, is Julia Hart a heel? Is she a face? She's jumping Abaddon.
Full-blown heel now.
What's that?
She's a full-blown heel now.
You wouldn't know that, when she confronted Abaddon. Abaddon's a heel. I mean, that the whole look of like, right? Isn't that it's weird? I don't know. I just
Abaddon and Ponderosa are the two faces.
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
People are Britt Baker's trash talk alone on that stupid Access show.
No, Rosa's a face now, man.
Yeah,
it's Rosa.
Joined the House of Black, I thought.
No. Aren't Rosa and Abaddon faces, and it's Julia and Sky Blue?
No, but it was weird because again, like Julia Hart.
I can't believe I even know this.
It was weird because Julia Hart confronted Abaddon after a squash match, and then Sky Blue confronted
Sky Black now.
What's that? Oh yeah, okay.
It's Sky Black now.
Sky Black. It was Sky Booty, Sky Juicy Booty. So
what the fuck?
So they confront Abaddon, and then what's her name? The Mexican girl. What their
Thunder Rosa.
Thunder. There you go, Thunder. comes from the broadcast booth, which I was like, wait a second, this is the first time I've ever seen a Spanish announce team featured on Dynamite. As soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, she's going to get involved somehow in something. And sure
I
enough,
assume they were there for that purpose.
yeah,
It's
that's
about damn time. It's about damn time.
500 days since the last time she was physical.
Okay.
In any wrestling capacity.
Pat,
She
again,
came in to give her a hand, you know. So
Yeah.
that was a
it'll
good
be
thing.
interesting to see again. Best wishes to Charlotte Flair and a speedy recovery. But
Woo!
ACL, MCL, and meniscus, I mean, that's going to take some time. I don't think it's 9 months. I think it's going to take some
They got
time.
the GOAT Becky to hold it over.
Yeah. It'll be interesting, and we'll simply see that. Guys,
Becky with the great Jamaican accent, yo.
Guys, one more news topic before we get to the main event here. But it's being reported on different sites that after WrestleMania, Roman Reigns would be exactly 6 months away from actually beating Hogan's streak as a champion. And I think with what they've been doing and the way they've portrayed Roman as an amazing attraction, and I'm a fan of it, it would not be the worst thing in the world from a marketing perspective. You print the shirts up, everything you did this year for 1,000, like I bought. It wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if Roman went over on Cody again and eventually beats Hogan's record in the fall in mid to late September. Listen, it's not like Dusty didn't lose to Ric Flair a couple of times before he beat him eventually. I don't see anything wrong with, and again, you want to talk about heat. Just imagine Cody winning the chamber match, which I'm assuming that's what the road will be for him to challenge Roman. It seems like Punk would win the Rumble. Who knows? Maybe it's reverse. Who knows? But the point is that just imagine the heat it'll generate online if Roman beats him again. I think it'd be glorious. I think the meltdowns would be better than, and this year's was amazing because I love seeing the meltdown online.
Agreed.
It wouldn't be the worst thing to have, Roman beat Hogan's streak. He's not going to reach Bruno because that would require him holding it until 2028. That's not realistic. Again,
Why not at this point?
Well, based on Roman's health and based on the fact that his contract's coming up, and maybe he's at a point in his life where, listen, let's give him his flowers now. We're getting a guy who is still not healthy. Again, I thankfully have not had leukemia. I don't know many people who have, but I can tell you from reading about it, it's debilitating. It affects your quality of life at some point as you get older. Chemo and everything else you've incurred is going to affect you. Roman Reigns, let's give him his flowers, what he's been doing. And if you get him out there in an attraction capacity, it wouldn't be the worst thing to have him beat Cody in Philly and hold on to beat. It's not like Hogan's on bad terms with WWE, but beating Hogan's streak would be significant in the conversation about Roman Reigns as an attraction, Roman Reigns as a worker, and his standing in the company. I don't think it'll be the worst thing in the world. But again, maybe Cody beats him and maybe Roman takes time off that he deserves and that he's earned.
Yeah, I would love it. There's something about Cody Rhodes losing that actually makes me kind of happy. Just not him losing normally, but I love the fact that I love these stories. Like, I love the fact that Drew McIntyre has never beat Roman Reigns. I love that story. I love the fact that Roman's never beat Seth Rollins. I love those type of stories. And when Cody beats him, I feel like it's going to matter. And Pat actually said this last year, I believe. So I'm just like reusing Patrick's words. But
Of course it did.
when Cody beats Roman, it's not going to matter that it happened at WrestleMania. It's just gonna matter that he beat Roman for the title. So I don't think it really needs to happen in Philly. Like I don't think it's one of those things where it needs to happen in Philadelphia. But if it happens there, then good for Cody. He's gonna be like the next top guy. That's what they've been grooming him for the past 3 years for. So it makes sense. But personally, I want Roman to break. I want anybody to eliminate Hogan from the record books that could possibly do it. As Pat knows, I've never been a fucking Hogan fan. So anything that pushes him outside of professional wrestling, I love it. So, and I really like the idea of Punk not beating Seth. and Punk being the guy who beats Roman for the title, you know, like Heyman. I feel like that's the best way to make Roman a babyface. Heyman joins Punk, Punk turns heel, Roman is all of a sudden a babyface. He drops the title. I think it's perfect. You know, let's give us that feud and then Cody and Seth. You know, I feel like that's the feud. You know, Macho.
Tyler, it seems like you're about to burst.
I will be one of those videos online this year if that happens.
What video?
One of those videos that Uribe
Cody
was talking
loses?
about. If Cody loses to Roman again, I will be one of those people in those reaction videos.
Well, I'm curious, Tyler. Again, and listen,
I would love it.
I think a lot of fans online have sort of dug themselves into the sand in the sense of being tribal about whether or not they like Roman Reigns and they like this incarnation of him and what he's done as an attraction. But I think there's no denying that whether it's merch, gate, the promo work, yeah, I get it. He's not. Listen, I get that fans are making memes about, oh, look at the amount of title defenses Hogan had and compared to Roman. I get all that, but it's a different time. It's a different era. And if we're talking about a completely healthy Roman Reigns, a guy who's in his mid-20s, you know, that's healthy without any debilitating illnesses, I mean, that's a different
mid-30s. He's actually in his late 30s. I mean,
no. What I'm saying is that if this is a guy we were talking about in his 20s,
oh, okay,
healthy and you know has no chronic illnesses. I mean, that's one thing. But this is a guy who's been in in the WWE roster for approaching 10 years now, right, on the main roster. Okay, and
it's over 10 years. It's almost 12.
Okay, and again, I think that the way they've presented him, I think the promo work has improved infinitely. I think we can all agree on that. I think his in-ring work has been good. No one's saying he's Bryan Danielson. No one's saying he's Ric Flair. No one's saying he's Shawn Michaels. But
who are you talking about right now?
Roman Reigns. But when Mark's
talking about?
No, what I'm saying is when Mark's online get critical of this title reign and Roman's got to lose this eventually. Cody needs to finish the story. It's not the end of the world to Macho's point that, hey, if Roman beats him in Philadelphia and he breaks Hogan's record, and maybe again, and supposedly the rumor is, that WrestleMania 41 will be held in Minneapolis. We'll see. If we wait until WrestleMania 41 in Minneapolis in 2025 and Roman drops the title then to whether it's Cody or CM Punk, I don't think it's the end of the world. It sells merch. It sells gate, engagement, metrics. I don't know what there isn't to like about this.
I don't like your comments about Roman.
Well, first of all, I think you guys can address that in a moment, but I just want to say something first. I think that if Cody doesn't win at WrestleMania, it won't be the end of the world, but you do have to do it some point soon, man, because you've got a lot of good faith invested with this guy. Okay. Yeah. He's the number one baby face out there. There's nobody else out there other than Punk, maybe, that's possibly the top baby face in the company. Okay. And I know some people don't like to hear that, but it's true. CM Punk is a top baby face in WWE. The fans love him. And probably in exactly one week from now, I'm going to be at MSG seeing CM Punk return to WWE in a WWE ring for the first time in 9 years, taking on dirty, filthy, disgusting Dominic Mysterio, the most dangerous man in professional wrestling.
Grateful son, Dominic Mysterio. The ungrateful son.
No, his father was a deadbeat dad. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Well, actually, no, his real father passed away. R.I.P. But
have you seen the house he grew up in? Have you seen the house he grew up in? That's a pretty big estate there. So his father made some good money for his family.
Well, guilt is pretty fucking heavy, my friend. Okay, that's all I got to say about that. But CM Punk's going to be returning to a ring. Madison Square Garden's going to go fucking crazy. You got Cody taking on Nakamura, which is the best Nakamura we've fucking seen. I think we can all agree on that right now.
100%.
And I just think that it's like you've done all this with Cody. It wouldn't be terrible if he lost at WrestleMania, but he should fucking get that win. And unless you got something up your sleeve where you're gonna do fucking SummerSlam at the stadium where the Falcons play, which that would be like a really nice consolation prize. Although it It would be super fucking obvious, but it would be a nice consolation prize for Roman beating out Terry Hogan's fucking record. Now, Triple H has been about breaking records. I think we've seen that thus far, right? Triple H has broken a lot of records recently. I would not be surprised if one of those records that Triple H wants to break is Terry Hogan's.
Yeah.
So if Cody loses at WrestleMania, it would kind of stink, but it wouldn't. You know what I'm saying? Because SummerSlam, something special is going to happen. And to Fernando's point, Roman does have leukemia. Roman is still technically, dealing with a fucking illness. And I want to say this right now to everybody that's watching, appreciate Roman Reigns while you still have him. Because what he's doing is fucking special. And it's fantastic as a performer. Okay? He's one of the best to ever fucking lace up a pair of boots. And the fact that he's been doing this with leukemia makes him even more special. You know what I'm saying?
Pat, real quick, the point about where SummerSlam, apparently there are some rumors that Cleveland, Ohio is in the running to host SummerSlam, whether it's at the arena where the Cleveland Cavaliers, the 2016 NBA champions, play, or the
your Cleveland Cavaliers, your 2016 Cleveland Cavaliers.
Cavaliers, that's right. Only team to come back with 3-1 deficit in the finals. Progressive Field where the Cleveland Indians play, or where the Browns play.
Guardians.
Whatever. So the point.
No, not whatever. That's what they're called. They're called the Guardians, my guy.
Okay, you can call them. I'll call them whatever I want to call them. But
but call them what they actually are. I mean, that's what it actually is.
Well,
aren't you trying to be a journalist that's like, broadcasting truth and all that jazz?
That's right. I'm a broadcast journalist. To your point about
be accurate.
If it was in Atlanta, that'd be amazing. I think if Cody were to get that win in Atlanta, that SummerSlam, that would be, I think, a great win. The home field down. To the point of like, you don't want to drag this out because if you're waiting until Minneapolis in 2025, again, he's super over. I don't think that diminishes anything, but
Punk doesn't need it. Cody does. Punk does not need to beat Roman Reigns.
Yeah,
Cody does. Cody does. You could do Punk and Roman later on when Heyman turns on him and all that jazz. You could do all that, but I just think Cody needs this win. Cody needs to be the guy to beat Roman Reigns.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And
definitely find out, but obviously a lot to talk about. As the Rumble approaches and WrestleMania season is right around the corner again.
Wait. Tyler wanted to say something, Fernando.
Yes, Tyler. Sorry.
Thank you. I want to say, I don't want to discount Roman, and especially with this character, what he's done. It's one of the best characters that's ever been portrayed on WWE TV. For me, it's run its course. That's all.
That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. I feel like Roman Reigns is already in the Mount Rushmore category. I feel like he's already knocked off guys like Hogan or Sammartino or whatever.
But
when I look at Roman Reigns,
when you say that it's run its course, we talk about the bloodline, or we talk about this invincibility aura that they've instilled in the presentation of Roman Reigns as a tribal chief, the head of table. Like, when you say run its course, what are we referring to?
Yeah, I just don't think there's anything left to do with the bloodline, and I think he could be the same attraction and not be champion.
Well, I mean, we're going to find out, right? I mean, we're going to find out going into Philadelphia. If he retains, I think it lends itself to Patrick's point and Macho's point about, hey, breaking records is something that clearly Paul Levesque is about. And, again, keeping it. See, this is the problem. If we're going to have Cody beat him at SummerSlam, that's a problem.
Still wouldn't get there, yeah.
Well, he'll fall short of beating Hogan. So it's like, are we waiting until the Rumble next year? That'll be interesting for sure. Guys, main event time. Certainly Chris Jericho has been in the news cycle lately. And Chris Jericho apparently going on some social media, I think, or some podcast. I'm not sure if it was Chris Van Vliet, the recent show, which, by the way, was a really good episode if you guys catch it, because Chris Van Vliet's amazing. He can recite the alphabet, and that's how good Chris Van Vliet is. I mean, I aspire to be that type of interviewer that Chris Van Vliet is. Like, that's how good he is. Chris Jericho saying that if he died today, he'd be considered the GOAT. I'll hold off on this because I'm a big Chris Jericho fan, and I sort of want to let it rain after you guys give your take. But let's kind of, let's start with Macho here. Where do you put Chris Jericho though in the all-time conversation?
45.
Very
Like-
specific number.
Like
He's top 50 all time, but he's
oh,
45.
okay.
There's
Out of
44.
okay.
There's 44 better wrestlers than him all time.
Okay.
The guy that murdered his family is like a better wrestler than him. Eddie Guerrero's a better wrestler than him. Perry Saturn's a better wrestler than him. Dean Malenko's
No.
a better wrestler than him. Bryan Danielson,
Dynamite
Shawn
Kid.
Michaels, Dynamite Kid, Bret Hart, Owen Hart. I mean, I didn't even go into like Stone Cold, The Rock, Roman, Seth Rollins, Shinsuke Nakamura, AJ Styles. I mean, I can keep going. The guy that's on your T-shirt right now is a better wrestler than Randy the Ram. I don't know.
Nah,
what to tell you.
not that guy. Not that guy. That guy's a mid carder. He's a fucking jobber.
My bad. I thought that was MJF. Yeah. When I'm sitting here and I don't know, when he says something like that, I feel like it's when he called himself the GOAT. Remember how he used to have GOAT on his trunks in WWE? He was just calling himself the GOAT just because he wanted to gain traction. When Chris Jericho calls himself the GOAT, it's like barbershop talk when like LeBron James has to tell the world that he's the greatest of all time. Like it's one of those things you're trying to speak it into existence, and
Macho, you
maybe like
based
2 or
on
3 people agree with you.
I mean, let's meet in the middle. I mean, the one thing he has going for him is longevity. He's had the good fortune of being able to go this late into his life. Still right now, again, it's not been very good. It hasn't been good.
Fernando.
I'll be the first one to admit it.
Fernando, there's a guy who's running NXT right now that took a 4-year break and came back and was better than he was in the 80s and 90s.
Pop.
No,
And
That's
you're
fair.
telling me that he touches him? There's another guy who was forced into.
Well, hold on. a second. The only thing I'm going to say about Jericho is I think he's what he has is longevity going for him. But are there better wrestlers than him? Sure.
Yeah.
Your placement is fair out of 50. If you say he's 45, okay, I'm not going to argue that. What I'm simply saying is that what he's had going for him is longevity. Now, has the last 10 years been good? No, it hasn't been. I think that hurts his legacy immensely.
The last 10?
Yeah.
If
We'll
we're
let Pat go
I'd
into
say
that.
10.
We'll let Pat go into that. Pat's got some good details about this. Yeah.
If we're talking about if Chris Jericho retired in 2015, 2016, I'm not sure if Macho would have him higher, but the last 7-8 years have hurt him. I would. Yeah. I mean, I'll get to my critique in a minute, but I'm just curious. Guys, continue.
All right. So, like the best friends storyline with Kevin Owens would have never happened. If that's the case, that's one of the best storylines of that year in WWE.
The storyline was good, but the match was the shits. The match at Mania was the shits.
That was the character.
They didn't give a shit because they should have been the main event.
Well, that's weird.
They didn't have to be the fucking main event. You shouldn't ever think that way.
To her by a tag match, and her and Rhea Ripley went and tore it down. So it's like, I mean,
they never should have been the main event. So that's a different story.
Okay,
Tyler,
you're telling me that Kevin Owens,
the top story in the company should be the main event.
Should have main evented over Goldberg and Brock Lesnar.
Yes, Tyler, absolutely.
Oh my!
Never
God.
over Bill Goldberg. Never over Bill Goldberg.
Ridiculousness.
What a legend Bill Goldberg is.
Tyler, I just want to be clear. So
Fernando loves Bill Goldberg.
So in 2017, when we had Orton against the late great Wyndham Rotunda for the WWE title, and Goldberg and Lesnar for the Universal title, and the pop that the Hardys received was crazy in that fatal 4-way. Are we saying that Jericho and Owens for the coveted United States Heavyweight Championship should have been?
No, it should have been for the world title.
Oh, okay. Oh, all right. So you're basing it on the fact that Owens shouldn't have lost to Goldberg and still been Universal Champion. Okay.
I disagree. I disagree adamantly, man.
Well.
I think Bill Goldberg's a bigger name than them, and Kevin Owens did not make himself a bigger name than anybody else at that point in time. And by the way, I'd just like to say I'm holding the microphone like the way Dave Meltzer does because Fernando loves it. But
fucking guy making $4 million a year can buy a fucking tripod at Walmart. Like that's
I got a mic stand. It's called a mic stand, jabroni.
No.
But whatever.
I'm talking about you. I'm talking about Meltzer. You're making
A,
$4 million.
a tripod. A tripod. Why does he have to buy a tripod? Hold the fucking microphone. Don't hold the microphone. Come on, man.
It's just
Take it easy.
it's
Take it
it's-
easy.
So
It's
yeah,
it's that presentation form. That's all.
Fight him. But I'm
Anyways,
just saying that. Yeah. Go ahead, Tyler, please.
Is he the GOAT? No. I have no problem with him saying that. He should think that. Everyone should think that that's in that category. But he's not. It's fine. He's a tremendous performer, has been his whole career. His last few years have been a little worse. But in general, his whole career has, from like 96 to 2020, he was great.
Absolutely not.
absolutely
not. 2013 is when he stopped being a good fucking wrestler, and that's when everybody else had to carry him.
Well,
And if we're being honest, that's exactly what it is. He was a good character guy. He's a good promo. He's always been a good promo. And I love Chris Jericho. I do, except on January 6th. But I love Chris Jericho.
Yeah,
And
well, I'd mention that too, but I'll get blown up on in my family what you talked about, so I'm just not going to.
And maybe the other guy who stole my sunglasses gimmick might not like it. But I'm just saying, that, like Chris Jericho was a great wrestler. He's always been a great character guy. He's always been a great promo guy. But as an actual technical wrestler, as being able to do it in the ring, he hasn't been able to do it. Nobody has had a second half of a career like Shawn Michaels has had. Nobody.
Never.
And nobody fucking will. And I love Bryan Danielson to death, but even he couldn't do it. He couldn't fucking do it. And he had some fucking bangers in the second half of his career.
Tyler, let me ask you something. In 2018 at Wrestle Kingdom, when he fought Omega, what did you think of that match? Because again, if we're going through the time frame that in the last 7 years he hasn't been great, would you argue that Jericho had a good showing against Omega? Because I think it's fair to say that Omega carried a lot of that. Yes, he's younger, correct, but Omega carried a lot of that match with Jericho at Wrestle Kingdom. And again, I was looking forward to that because of the promos and the hype. And I think we all were. I think we all woke up at 3 a.m. to watch that match. I know I did. But to say that the last few years, I mean, again, I think that's the indictment on Jericho in that matches like with Omega, even dropping the title to Moxley and, passing the torch to Moxley as he was the first AEW champion. It wasn't great stuff. Listen, I'm a mark. I love Judas. When I was at Prudential Center with Patrick, I was singing Judas like everybody else in the building.
It was fucking disgusting.
I still like it. But when we look at Jericho the last few years, I mean, I think the Omega match at Wrestle Kingdom, I think, was a pretty good indicator that, man, I get it. He wants to still be in the limelight, but that match, I think, was a strong indicator that he just shouldn't be working with guys like that. And I think that it really kind of tarnished a little bit of his legacy because it's listen, it's age, it's father time. He's older. He's not going to he can't do the same moves anymore. And he keeps trying to. And I think that hurts him as well. I'm just curious because I know you're a fan as well.
Yeah. So like when you say something like that, like Kenny Omega carried him, that's like saying a girl's friends with Tiffany Stratton, so she's uglier than her friend. Like, yeah, Kenny Omega is one of the best wrestlers of all time too. So yeah, maybe he will carry him. Maybe he is better at that point, but that doesn't mean that Jericho just sucked.
Why couldn't he make Adam Page?
Adam Page wasn't ready to be made at that point.
Was Shelton Benjamin ready to be made when Shawn Michaels did it on Monday Night Raw?
And how'd that end up? How'd that work out? How long
It
did
worked
that
out
last?
pretty well for him for the next 2 years. And then WWE
Next 2
just
years?
like, yeah,
So
he was
Shelton
pretty
Benjamin
great.
Shelton Benjamin in 2007 was
Benjamin
doing
wasn't
well.
a good promo guy. That's why it never worked out for him.
That was the difference. But Adam Page is a good promo guy. And we've seen that.
Yeah. And he found him, and they found a character that worked for him, and he got where he needed to be. But at that point, he was still finding himself.
But to consider someone one of the greatest of all time, don't you think that you have to help make people?
Why didn't Shawn Michaels make Mr. Kennedy?
Because Kennedy hurt guys. I don't know what to tell you.
Not at that
Why
point, he wasn't.
Shawn Michaels has literally made everybody he's been in the ring with.
Not
You're
Mr.
telling
Kennedy.
me
He's made more people than Brett.
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason why even people that hate the Heartbreak Kid say he's the greatest all time.
Okay.
There's he makes people. He's above he's above everybody else. I
mean,
say
it's
it all
great.
the time. He's the Michael Jordan of wrestling. We're never going to see it again.
It's great that Jericho has put over people during his time in AEW. That's great, but has it helped them? And I think that's the indictment about Jericho the last few years. In that, sure, you want to lose to Action Andretti, you want to lose to Moxley, you want to put over certain people, you want to put over MJF in that 18-month feud, which I found amusing at times. And
that was a stupid comment.
The what?
The last comment that came up.
It was
Bret Hart's the worst. Bret Hart's the worst wrestler to come out of Canada, bro.
Okay.
Come on, get out of here.
So no,
there's only one person that could have been.
Yeah. So I mean, has he made people to the extent that again, when we talk about GOATs, sometimes I always have these conflicts within myself about GOAT conversations or Rushmores, Mount Rushmores, because it's like I think there need to be categories like Mount Rushmore for gate, Mount Rushmore for workers, Mount Rushmore for promos, Mount Rushmore for overall gimmick.
Right.
I don't think
like Seth said, you're right. That's correct.
It's hard to have a Mount Rushmore and just say, well, it's just these four people, because I think it's difficult.
No, I agree. I just don't think Jericho's on any of those lists.
That's the problem.
Right.
Like you look at Mount Rushmore for workers, Jericho's not on the conversation. Now, if you want to say the Mount Rushmore for longevity, okay.
Bullshit. I gotta say, Chris Jericho is on a Mount Rushmore for something. All right.
What?
Theme songs.
Okay.
He's had two wonderful theme songs. Okay.
Agreed.
One of which was very catchy in WWE. The other one, what does he become? Even the Pearl Jam one. What does he become? Something. Everybody something fucking orale.
Judas?
What? Yeah, that one.
Oh, okay.
So, that song.
But that's I think that's the tipping point about Jericho, that in all these Mount Rushmore categories about workers, promos, gimmicks, work rate, metric, and gates, he doesn't belong on any of them. And that pains because I love Chris Jericho. But the only Mount Rushmore he's going to be on is theoretically is just longevity, because he's been still doing this. But that's it. But he's not a better worker than, let's be honest, who's the best Canadian worker ever? It's not Chris Jericho.
No.
Who's the best, I don't know, promo person? He's not in that Mount Rushmore.
Owen Hart.
When it comes to workers, he's just not. I mean, I just think that he has a place in the upper echelon, I think, of the top 50 wrestlers all time. Sure, he's in that bottom tier, but I don't think that's an insult with the hundreds of
Piper's
thousands.
a pretty great Canadian promo too.
That is true.
With the hundreds of thousands of people who have been professional wrestlers. If you're in the bottom tier of the top 50, that's not a bad category to be in, I think.
No, agreed, yeah.
It just kind of depends on who you put in front of him. Like, there's one that you listed that just really ground my gears, but
who?
Perry Saturn.
What's wrong with Saturn?
There's
What
nothing
do you got a
wrong
problem
with
against
him.
cockeyed people?
Nothing wrong with him. He's just not better than Chris Jericho at anything.
I guess. I don't know. I don't know. His character with Moppy was better.
Dating a mop.
Yeah, that was a great character. No, listen, when I look at Chris Jericho right now, I can't get past the fact that this is not the dude that I tried to beat WrestleMania 2000 for N64 with. This is not the dude where, like, me and Pat were doing backyard wrestling where Pat was wearing Y2B on his t-shirt.
You're damn
this
right.
This is not the same dude. When I'm watching him, I just look at a guy who he should be doing what Sting is doing. Like, I love Sting. And I think what he's doing right now is maybe a little bit too much, but he wrestles a couple of times a year and he's always in a tag match. Like, I don't need to see Chris Jericho working one-on-one. And the fact that Jericho won't give back to the business really, really pisses me off. He should have been made Sammy Guevara. Still hasn't happened. Like, who's going to make that kid? That kid's got supreme talent. You're telling me Jericho can't pull this kid aside and be like, hey, man, maybe not
He
do a
has
ladder
he has
spot
a
on a
shitty
Wednesday.
attitude. It seems like he has a shitty attitude and he's very immature, personally.
And
Okay.
also,
And if you don't like it, Sammy, if you're watching this, come fight me, motherfucker. I don't give a fuck.
And listen, he's also going to kill himself too with the style that he is still adopting. But to the point that Macho is making about not making people or not giving back, the problem though also is that it puts Khan in a quandary. He's one of the highest paid employees in that company, and I think that for better or for worse, you have to, if you're paying him foreign change, right? I could be wrong. Pat's good on those numbers when it comes to salaries. I know.
Yeah, he knows the salaries.
When you're paying him for something and change, I mean, sink or swim, you got to put him out there. And listen, does he have some influence about his character work, about his presentation? Does he have complete creative control? I don't know. We don't know what's into that contract, what's written in there. But I think Jericho, see, this is the thing. When Jericho first started, I wasn't opposed to him becoming the first AEW champion. I thought it was a mainstream name that came over from WWE. I think it's a smart move. And then, obviously we transitioned to Tom Moxley and everything else. I think what he's done is tried to elevate people he likes working with. But did he, to your point about Sammy Guevara, did he help elevate Santana and Ortiz? Listen, Santana and Ortiz are still, if they work together, are a really good team. Going back to the TNA days and even into the indie promotions, at any point in time, did Santana and Ortiz ever challenge for the tag titles? No. Jake Hager, great tough guy, obviously accomplished MMA fighter, but horrible promo guy. I guess that's his boy. But Jericho also hasn't helped his cause by surrounding himself with people that he's trying to make better. And I think that's also an indictment, Tyler. I think we can be in the middle on that.
Right, and we talk you say he hasn't given back, but when he puts over Ricky Starks on pay-per-view, and then Ricky Starks is booked like shit for months, is that Chris Jericho's fault?
Yeah.
How? Why?
John Cena told us all the time. He said it's your job after a feud with me to keep yourself going. Everybody says John Cena has the golden shovel, and he said it
exactly
himself.
My point right there. Okay, so he puts him over, and then they book Starks like shit for months afterwards. It's not his fault.
So you're telling
it's whoever's
me that
doing the booking.
Okay, but you're there for a reason, my guy. You're there to be the guy to push these guys in the right direction. That's his job.
Right, so he put him in the right direction, and then they didn't book him correctly afterwards.
That does fall on the booker, in fairness. It does. And that's Tony Khan. Tony Khan should be the one following up with better booking. I mean, Chris Jericho laid down, did his job to fucking put over the dude. That's on Tony Khan. That's on Tony Khan. That's on the Snowman. You know what I'm saying? That's on him. That's on him. Not for nothing, man.
And
but
who else? He put over how many pay-per-views in a row did he lose? And then
I think in AEW there was a lot of matches where he put people over, but it didn't fucking mean as much as it used to. It didn't because of the booking, because of the way Tony Khan presented a lot of these people afterwards. You know what I'm saying?
I think dropping the title to Moxley helped Moxley immensely. I think as he was a new guy in that company, I think it helped tremendously. But from that moment on, if we remember, it pretty much it falls on the booker. We saw an 18-month program in a feud with MJF that went way, way too long, in fairness. And I think that maybe has something to do with Tony. Maybe it has something to do with Jericho too.
Because this version of Chris Jericho sucks. And, he's wrestling a guy who's shorter than Rey Mysterio. And I don't know what to tell you.
Why is MJF shrinking every
I was just thinking that. I love how MJF is just progressively getting smaller.
I don't know.
He'll be an ant on the floor by the time we're done.
Still taller than Adam Cole, though.
Oh God! Well, I met Adam Cole. I don't know. It's he looked pretty tall, but I mean that could be.
Boom.
But guys,
I don't know.
But guys, it's a really interesting debate about Jericho, and I think that fans are going to debate this forever when it comes to the way that we look at people in the twilight of their careers, whether it's Chris Jericho, whether it's others that are still working. I think it's an interesting debate. Guys, before we call it a night here, on this day in pro wrestling history this December 19th, some interesting notes here. Again, you guys being fans, I think you'll appreciate this. On this day in 1977 at Madison Square Garden, challenger Mil Máscaras defeated the defending WWF champion, Superstar Billy Graham, via a blood stoppage. WWF rules at the time prevented the title from changing hands due to excessive blood loss. Therefore, Graham actually left the Garden with the championship. Kind of interesting booking there at the time by Vincent.
That's good shit, pal.
I forgot what the middle name was for Vincent K's dad. But also on this day in 1998, heated rivals Taz and Sabu clashed at an ECW show in Philadelphia for Taz's officially unsanctioned FTW title. The match ended in controversial fashion. He would go on to beat Shane Douglas, who would win the title after that controversial finish, at guilty as charged in January of 1999. Also, speaking of 1999, WCW Starrcade took place from the MCI Center in downtown, that shithole of Washington, D.C. The main event is remembered as being the match that led to the end of Bret the Hitman Hart's career. The specific incident saw Bill Goldberg land an errant kick, what else is new, to Bret Hart's head in the WCW.
No.
That led to severe concussion issues.
Bret put his hands up. Okay? He was not braced for it. He was not the worker he used to be. So don't blame a guy like Bill Goldberg, okay? Don't, all right?
Which led to severe concussions after forcing Bret the Hitman Hart to retire. Hart did win the match, coincidentally, by disqualification. On this day in 2000, at a SmackDown taping, Edge and Christian in Charlotte, North Carolina, won back the WWF tag titles from The Rock and The Undertaker that they had lost one night earlier on Monday Night Raw. Also in 2009, Ring of Honor's final battle took place from the Manhattan Center in New York City. It was the first time the event was live streamed on the internet, and the main event saw a critically acclaimed 60-minute time limit draw for the coveted Ring of Honor World Championship that pitted champion Austin Aries against the future Seth Rollins, Tyler Black. Also on the card, the Young Bucks defeated the American Wolves, Davey Richards and Eddie Edwards, to win the Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles. Also on this day in 2010, at the the second year in a row, WWE had their TLC pay-per-view, which was god-awful name for instead of Armageddon, but whatever. Emanating from the Toyota Center in Houston, Texas, the main event saw John Cena defeat Wade Barrett in a chairs match to end the heated rivalry between Cena and the Nexus. Also on the card, Edge won the World Heavyweight Championship in a fatal four-way TLC match against Kane, Alberto Del Rio, and Hall of Famer, an amazing father, Rey Mysterio. All that, folks, on this day.
Lousy father.
In pro wrestling history. Guys, take us home here. What should we look out for as we close out 2023?
I mean, I would just say enjoy professional wrestling. Try not to critique it as much as we do. Leave that to us so we can hopefully turn this into a career. And
let us be the sad bastards.
Yeah, and then hopefully LA Knight does really well and wins the United States Championship in the 2 years, after Kevin Owens has
He'll win it at WrestleMania. Watch, I'm telling you. He'll win in Philly. Watch, I'm telling you.
Ridiculous. And hopefully MJF loses the title in 2 weeks and just goes away for a while because he's just fucking boring. I don't even know why we need to watch him or whatever. Ooh.
Scamcast Media. Bitch.